welcome to another Huddle Breakdown Extra Time. I'm your host Martin Murphy and joined as ever by James and by Alan. How are you guys?
Doing well. Exciting week.
Very exciting week. So we've had the Super Bowl, James, a green victory as well, wasn't it? The Philadelphia Eagles.
Green and silver, I guess you would call it. Yeah. Yeah, and a dominant one. So we've actually had a lot of. See, when I was growing up, the Super Bowls were mostly blowouts for many years actually, mostly dominated by the NFC side, and this was kind of a throwback where the NFC team just absolutely kicked their ass physically, like just beat them up, and to the point where Mahomes was rendered impotent for the So it was a kind of a throwback in that sense, but yeah. I'm always shocked at being online how many people that I follow from particularly Glasgow area that are into NFL. So it's gives me some perspective on self-awareness of some idiot from Pennsylvania commenting on Scottish football, and how it can fall on deaf ears.
Was there a big street party in Philly? Did you go along?
Yes, yeah. Now we're like 2 hours from Philly, but yeah, from what I saw, if the Philadelphians tend to celebrate in the streets with such championships. So yeah, quite some cars overturned, some other things, but nothing too bad as far as Philadelphia goes.
Not like Manchester 2008 or anything like that, I guess. But
not that bad.
2 hours is nothing over there anyway. That's like going to the shops, isn't it? 2 hours, surely.
I drove 3.5 hours this morning for free. I mean, come on, that's nothing. We do that like it's we wake up and do that every day almost.
Yeah, and also a green victory in the FA Cup with Plymouth Argyle beating Liverpool. Not the only shock that weekend, I think you'll find, folks. And not easy to get through in these rounds of the Cups like we did against lower league opposition. And I said last week that, if we were on this week and we had got through, which we have, we've got obviously Hibs at home in the next round. And if we'd done ourselves a bit of credit, I hoped, against Bayern in the Champions League, which obviously we'll be getting into in a lot of detail tonight. I think we did. As I was saying to you guys off air, still a wee bit disappointed and deflated just in terms of I thought we were so close in a lot of ways, but in the great scheme of things, looking forward to hearing your guys' views on it, because compared to some of the games earlier, well, let's be honest, the Dortmund game, there was that element when we went 2 down so early in the second half. I did fear that maybe we'd collapse. So fair play to the guys getting us back in and keeping the tie alive. I suppose if we start really getting into last night, and if I'd maybe start with you, please, Alan. I wondered what your kind of overall thoughts were in terms of how Celtic coped with the Bayern press in the game and our style of play and so forth, especially, James had been talking previously about, what was it, James? It was over 80% possession they had in Rotterdam against Feyenoord. So, obviously going to be one of those nights that you have to show patience and bravery and strap yourself in a little bit. How did you think Celtic coped, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, pretty well is in summary. But after 30 minutes, they'd completed 333 passes. So like they're on for 1,000 passes, right? And I was thinking, the packing score is going to be a new record. It was all looking really, really a bit grim. They had like 3 chances, not great chances, but 3 efforts at least in the first sort of 13 minutes. So. But then it kind of settled down a little bit, and I know there was a few flurries and what seemed like close chances, but they were actually offside. Bayern didn't have a shot at goal for 30 minutes in that first half, right? So Celtic did a pretty good job of demonstrating how playing against a low block is actually quite tricky, and that's what Celtic did. I don't think very rare for us to see Celtic playing a low block like that. But that's essentially what it was. It was nominally 4-4-2. But it really collapsed back to sort of 8-2 once we got kind of near our own box, and it was pretty effective. I mean, they seemed to be quite keen on throwing crosses into the box early on, which is, again, will suit a low block just by sheer dint to the number of bodies that there are in there. So as I say, although it looked really scary when I was looking at the sort of evolving match data in terms of, my God, the numbers that they're going to post if they carry on like this are just going to be ridiculous. And of course, their pressing was very intense and on point, and it was very difficult to get out. Not helped by the fact, I think one criticism that I would say of Celtic in that first half is they were pretty poor on the ball. They had to be better on the ball, and so they weren't doing themselves any favours in that regard. But you had sort of Bayern at the peak of their pressing in that first half, really. And I think, although they had a sort of chance, which was a sort of a portent of things to come when right near the end when Alistair Johnson lost Harry Kane at a corner, and he had a free header that just went wide. As I say, that had been their first effort at goal for 30 minutes. And then, a familiar theme, which is when you're playing a team of this quality, someone can smash one into the top corner from absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what happened. And, you get a little bit of bad luck. I mean, the ball ricochets off Taylor back to Olise, perfect for him just to whack it. I mean, these things tend to go against you when you're the overmatched side in European competition. That I don't think the team deserved that, but absolutely, it's kind of predictable that will happen against top class opposition. So I actually thought Celtic were admirable in their defending. I thought they were poor on the ball, but they really did. You could see Bayern were actually, there were frustration had kind of set in. They were slowing down as well. They couldn't keep that tempo up of the first 30 minutes, and it was all kind of petering out to a 0-0 at half time. And I think Rodgers would have been pretty happy at that. So maybe we can do this in two halves and get James's view on that first half, because the second half was also very different. But that'd be my kind of first half summary, really. Admirable, but guess what? It's top corner, top bins.
Yeah, James, just to pick up a little bit on some of the points Alan was making there, he talked about how wasteful we were at times with our passing. To be honest, I was getting a bit frustrated as well, even with the officials. Not like me, I know. But, it just seemed like every kind of decision that could have been 50-50 seemed to go against us, whether it was corners, free kicks, what have you. So that was a bit of an annoyance, especially when you were desperate to get hold of the ball and then it kept going back to them. But in terms of us giving away possession, were there any players in particular that you felt were maybe more guilty of that, not keeping possession the way that you would have expected?
I mean, the ones you would expect. I mean, it was, Greg Taylor.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.